This Coast to Coast Entertainment Network program is brought to you by Beside Me Bracelets. Our bracelets are handmade for any occasion. Use the promo code Coast to Coast for 15% off. Visit their website at besideme.com. Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry. With 24-hour shopping available, use the code 160920 and show her some love, like she showed us. Reaper Apparel Company, a commitment to live your most authentic way every single day. Visit reaperapparelco.com for more information and a look at all of their apparel offerings. And by Good Day Embroidery, your local source for custom embroidery, screen printing, and more. Log on to gooddayembroidery.com for more information.
Hello and welcome to another edition, an early edition of the Couch Fantasy Zone Hour. I'm the host, Big B. You just saw us on C2C. Got my partner in crime halfway around the world, the Prime Moose, Tim Hendricks. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I kind of got after last week. I kind of got a nice big heaping spoonful of humble pie because I went 1-3. I learned a hard lesson. Don't leave Lamar Jackson on the bench, and then he turns around and your league gives you 63 points.
Okay. Yeah. No. Yeah. It hurts when you play somebody that hasn't been doing good. So we were going to have a guest host. He is trying to get on. So if he gets on, he gets on. If he doesn't, maybe next week. But if he wants to comment, go ahead and comment. Again, my fantasy week, I was 500. I'm going to throw it out there, Tim. We kind of talked backstage a little bit. I want to get the fans. Our leagues are pretty much just for fun and stuff. But what do you do? What should you do? Maybe I'm opening up a bag of worms, but got to play fair still. But, what's your thoughts on people that try to bend the rules a little bit and make changes when they shouldn't?
That's not bending. That's not bending the rules. That's blatantly breaking the rules.
Yeah, I know.
And the thing is, if I ever found out something like that ever happened in my league, and it happened one time in my league, in a baseball league where I was looking to get it was a baseball league, and I was trying to trade for a person, and everybody else agreed to had let the trade go through, and the commissioner decided to veto it by himself because he didn't like it, didn't want me to have the unfair advantage. And every time I played him that year, every week that I played him, I pulled my roster.
Yeah, it is. Kevin, we're doing good. Hopefully get that link downloaded. If not, we'll definitely get you on later on the year. So, but we are doing good. Yeah, it's tough, especially when it's for bragging rights and stuff. And, I think the same goes with in a pick'em league. If, the person running the league or somebody's trying to, try to cheat a little bit, as you say. Again, we just got to remember it's all for fun. And before we get into fun, again, we want to wish everybody in the Florida area our best. Please be safe. Please, if you can still get out of town, get out of town. I'm watching some clips here. Just the trees just blowing all over the place. But yeah, if you guys can get out, please get out.
They're expecting landfall here in Tampa by in that Tampa region if I remember right, it would be at midnight Eastern time, so it would be about 11:30. I've seen so many pictures from that where I-75 up the corridor is just I-75 and I-95 is just jam packed. Yeah, if right now you're at the point of no return, at this point you're staying where you're staying. At this just be sick, be careful, be safe. Don't screw around with any down electrical wires. Make sure you check on your neighbors because, make sure if you've got elderly neighbors, especially in Florida, that's pretty much 85% of the population, especially in the Clearwater, Tampa, St. Pete area. Make sure you keep an eye on them. Make sure that they're doing okay. Make sure something doesn't happen because sometimes they don't have the people around, and it's kind of a necessity.
Yep, exactly. So with that being said, we are into week 6. Tim, so far last week, this year so far, it's been kind of shocking, I think. A lot of close games. So far through 5 weeks, what are we shocked about?
The injuries. To me, I think it's the injuries that have shocked because it seems I hate it, and they're weird injuries too.
Mm-hmm.
Like the injuries to Rice getting put on the IR because of friendly fire. It's the ankle sprain. It's those high ankle strains that I've been seeing. The other thing, it just seems like, we were always told that this was a passing league, and I'm looking at it going, I don't know if that's the case anymore. I think the defenses have actually gotten better than the offenses because you can see how all the major quarterbacks have anywhere between 3 to 6 interceptions,
Yeah.
and it's strange, and you got to take that into consideration when you're picking your guys for fantasy football, because it just seems like any given Sunday your quarterback's going to give a pick away. Because look at Mahomes. I think Mahomes has 5 interceptions. You got Purdy, who's got 5 interceptions. I thought I screwed up Josh Allen last week on morning tailgate on Sundays. I said he's 7-0 going into this week. I probably thought I screwed up his O, and it's the defenses have played better football than the offense seems like it's a step behind.
So looking at the stats, you talk about quarterbacks. I mean, one, you got Fields with no interceptions. You got Flacco, or you got Fields with 1. You got Flacco who's filling in with none. I'm trying to see.
Richardson's got 4.
Yep, and then if you look up there, you said the big names, like Richardson, Prescott, Carr, Purdy, but I mean the top 5. I mean, you're looking at
Patrick Mahomes,
Minshew, Love, Cousins all with 5.
Yeah,
Richardson, Levis, Patrick Mahomes all with 6.
Yeah.
So it's one of those where I think teams are figuring out. I think people are maybe better studying their traits. Maybe, like in pitching, they're tipping off where they're going to throw and stuff, and that's something to be said about Mahomes. If you can pick Mahomes out, because he seems like he finds a different way to, throw the ball every week. I mean, even the sacks have, again, if you got Watson, there we got him coming in here. So let's introduce Mr. Kevin. Kevin, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you guys?
Doing okay. Thank you for joining the show.
Appreciate you guys for having me.
Yeah, no problem. We always like to have guests on. So just going over what's your shocking in the first 5 weeks here of the NFL season?
Well, I mean, Brandon, you probably already know, but it should be no surprise to everybody else. I'm a big Bears fan, so I think for me personally, I'm still not convinced on the performances of Caleb Williams quite yet.
Okay.
I think Derrick Henry is still the best running back in the league, and that is, his stats prove it for himself. And I think that I really like the drama going down in Raiders territory right now with the Devontae Adams talk. I don't foresee the Chiefs going for him, as I've been reading online and everything. But other than that, I think I also like the move that the Patriots are doing by possibly starting their rookie quarterback next week. Give him a shot, see what he can do.
Yep. Yeah, you're sitting at 1-4 right now. I mean, it's going to take a miracle, so why not see what the young kid has? That's kind of where I thought the Vikings were going to be sitting at 5 weeks in, 2-3, 1-4 kind of debate now what they're going to do after the bye week. But Vikings sitting at 5-0, which is still shocking to me. And like I was telling Tim backstage, if the Vikings could play two halves of football, man, they would probably be fighting the Bears for the best defense right now. That 85 Bears team. So, but with that being said, guys, Kevin, since you're what's that?
I said I was gonna say, yeah, I'm not still sold on the Vikings. I mean, yes, they are fine, but we could see what they could do later down the road when the games really matter. Like when you get into the home stretch of playoff territory and everything. But as of right now, they are playing very good football, and like you said, their defense needs to step it up just a little bit.
Just through that second half. The first half, they're phenomenal. I think it's going to come back. We're going to see what the Vikings are after the bye week, how they recoup, because they're going to have the Lions right off the bat. So, So anybody watching, you guys know how we do it. We do a breakdown. Us three guys will tell you who to play, who not to play each week or each game. And you guys can take it what you want. Shout out if we give you advice on a good play, good pickup or something, or shout out if we told you the wrong and you lost your week like Tim likes to do. So with that being said, our first matchup is tomorrow night. The San Francisco 49ers 2-3 versus the 3-2 Seattle Seahawks. Kevin, you're the host, or you're the guest this week for San Francisco. Who are you going to be playing and who are you not going to be playing?
I would start Jordan Mason and George Kittle. I would start both of them. I think George Kittle's to have another breakout game. And I think Jordan Mason is also going to continue how he has been playing since the injury of Christian McCaffrey.
Okay. I know Tim's probably happy with that Mason pick because that's his guy ever since he got in there. But Tim, who do you got playing for San Fran?
Yeah, I've definitely got Mason. I've got Kittle. We're talking about a passing defense that's in Seattle that's 7th. It's tough. It just doesn't seem like they're on the page. It's a 4 versus a 7. I think I'm not starting Ayuk because, like we brought up on Sunday on the morning tailgate, it seems like there's been the disappearance of Brandon Ayuk. I think you kind of have to start Deebo Samuel. If you got either one of them and you got Brock Purdy, I think you start Purdy, but you definitely have to start the running game. Yeah. Defense isn't a bad move either. We're talking about a 10 versus 11. I think, this is going to be this has a potential of being a very good game on Thursday. I don't know if NFL really intended on screwing up for Thursday and putting a good game on there, but that's what they did.
Nope, I agree. I think I definitely start Mason. I think you start Kittle. He got a touchdown last week. This might be one of the best Thursday night games in a while. The defense, like Tim said, kind of iffy. If you have one of the receivers that are going against them, then maybe you start Purdy, or if the guys got Purdy, maybe you put in Samuel or Ayuk or Kittle, I guess, if you had that one. So, Tim, let's move on to the home team, the Seattle Seahawks. Who do you got starting for them?
Like we talked earlier, it's so tough with quarterbacks because it seems like everybody's throwing an interception. Another one that's got 4 interceptions, just like Purdy's got. It's not a bad thing to take Geno Smith. I think at this point, I can't remember if Charbonnet's hurt or not. Let me take a look. Charbonnet's there, but I think I'm starting Walker before I start Charbonnet, and I'd start Metcalf. If you're doubling up, maybe Metcalf, or you definitely have to start. Who the heck's the other wide receiver? Why do I keep forgetting these people? Tyler Lockett. Again, a defense. It's another one you got to be iffy about because it's still probably it's the second best offense in the league versus the 11th best defense. It's going to be fun to watch. I'll tell you that. Yeah, I definitely start both kicking teams.
All right, Kevin, who are you starting for Seattle, and who are you sitting?
I think I would start Kenneth Walker. I think he has had a rough start to the season. I know he was injured for that week or two. But I think he is due for another breakout game. I'd have to say you could also maybe take a risk on Jackson Smith for the Seattle, because I think they're going to try to lock down DK Metcalf.
Mm-hmm.
Another person I would possibly think about starting would be Tyler Lockett as well.
Okay. Yeah, I think you go with, Walker. I think, if you have a flex position, maybe kind of watch. Well, you're going to get the report today. So Charbonnet might not be the best play if he's still kind of banged up. Tim knows and people watch. I don't like playing people on Thursday nights unless I really have to. So I say Metcalf. Yeah, you're probably going to lock in on him a little bit. So Lockett and Smith are probably your two best plays. And again, if you need to start Smith, which, Gino, if you got to start him, you do, but you got to take that risk. San Fran's defense is still pretty decent. So I think we kind of avoid starting him. So let's go into the next game. I'll get back to the games here. Oh, come on.
I think the first game should be the Chicago. I think they're playing in London, right?
Yep, Jacksonville 1-4 versus Chicago Bears in London. I forgot another London game. That's right. Jacksonville's over there for 2 weeks in a row, I think.
Yeah.
So, Tim, what's your thoughts on Jacksonville?
I'm starting ETN. I'm starting Brian Thomas. Outside of that, if you want to take a flyer on a tight end, maybe Strange, because I still don't think Evan Ingram is going to be playing. I know he made the trip, but that doesn't really necessarily mean anything. Outside of that, I don't trust Trevor Lawrence. I don't trust Trevor Lawrence against the defense, against Chicago's defense. You're the sixth best passing defense in the league. I don't think I would trust that. Outside of that, I think it's just Brian Thomas, ETN, and like I said, a flyer on Strange. If you need to replace somebody on a bye week.
Yeah. All right, Kevin, your thoughts on who you start for Jacksonville? Who are you playing?
I do agree with what Tim had said here. That Bears defense this year is more focused on the pass, and unlike the past couple of years, they have been a run defense, and this year the run defense has been pretty mediocre, hasn't been as good. So I would agree with the Travis Etienne pick. I really do. I like that a lot. I also like the Brenton Strange as well, because they are more focused on receivers and the backs coming out of the backfield. So I think the tight ends aren't as focused on. But again, I don't, like he said, I do not trust the Trevor Lawrence. He has not been performing too well. So I would go with Strange and Etienne.
Yeah, Etienne is still questionable, so hopefully we get an update on him. But if he doesn't play, then Bigsby's probably a good play. Strange definitely one. With Lawrence, I mean, yeah, I get why he does it. But if it's a fill-in guy, then there's probably worse ones out there. But against that Bears defense, I would definitely watch it, because they are, the Bears. The Bears have always had a good defense. So with that being said, Kevin, your Bears, who are you playing?
Well, let me start off with, I will start Chicago's defense. That'd be one I would start. I would start with Chicago's defense. Also, if you have questions on a flex, I would take a risk on DeAndre Swift or maybe an RB2, depending on how strong the RBs are in the league. I'd also take a risk on another flex position on our rookie receiver. He's been playing phenomenal lately. Mm-hmm. So I think if Adunzi can, stay healthy and battle that lingering issue he's had for the last couple weeks, I would also take a risk on him. And again, you could also go anywhere. Cole Kmet, he's had a couple good weeks. So if you're looking for a tight end or anything, I would take a risk on him. But receivers, I think you could be okay with taking either one of them. And then if you're feeling really frisky, go ahead and take Caleb Williams because he already has 2 decent weeks.
All right, Tim.
Yeah, if he does if Caleb Williams did what he did to Indy, about like what Indy did to Jacksonville last week, I think Caleb is poised to have a big day because Caleb, I think, had 300 against Indy, and look what Flacco did against Jacksonville. I think it's safe to say I think you use them in a pinch if you're trying to replace a bye week quarterback. Then again, there's only 4 weeks on a bye week, 4 teams on a bye week this week. But I think this may be Caleb's breakout game. Yeah, if you're looking for the flex, put it. I agree with the DeAndre Swift, the DJ Moore, the Adunze's a good move on that spot. Cole Kmet, like Kev said, he's had a couple big games. Another one, he gets lost in the linebacker group, but it seems like the only one that can find him is Caleb lately. I start the defense, and I think I start the kicking team too.
Okay. So we go with the Bears. I think you got Swift's definitely a big start. I think all the 2 receivers and Kmet definitely good starts. Caleb Williams, if you take out his first week, he's got every other week where he's had 150 plus yards, and then the following week he's followed it up with 300 plus yards. So, if you think that trend's going to happen, you don't play him this week. But if you think that maybe he's finally figuring it out, I think you go with it. And again, especially like we've said before with other quarterbacks, if you have one of the receivers or going against one of the receivers, it's a bye week. Maybe you take a chance and try to double up and get the points that Williams will throw. So, it'll be tough, but and of course the Bears defense, I think you're going to start them against these guys this week. So, the next game, we just got breaking news a little bit ago that Collins is out on IR. So we got the Houston Texans at 4-1 versus the Patriots at 1-4. Kevin, what's your thoughts on Texans? Who you playing?
I'd have to go with obviously going to take Stephon Diggs with that Nico Collins being out.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'd also go with I think Joe Mixon. I think he's in this week. From what I saw, I think he's going to be playing. So he might be limited, but if you need a flex, you could put him there. I think you could probably take their defense as well, especially with a rookie quarterback playing his first game. I think you could take a risk on that. And then obviously you got to go with the kicker. He's been pretty decent all year. So,
okay, Tim, Houston Texans.
Yeah, I think you start Stroud against the 22nd best defense. I think you kind of have to. Mixon's back. You really have to start Mixon at this point. It looks like I don't see Tank Dell's name on the injury report, so I think you start Tank Dell alongside Stefon Diggs. You definitely start that defense because it's Drake May's first game, and if you're smart, you basically just throw everything in the kitchen sink at him. Just to see what he can do. And usually when you do stuff like that, he's going to make mistakes. You definitely take the kicker. Yeah, that's the way I think I would go.
Yep. Yeah, I think I'm with you guys. I think you pretty much play everybody on the offensive side. Tank Dell, if he's there, maybe it's a kind of a flex spot that you fill in. But yeah, CJ Stroud, the defense, I think are a must play because I think they're just gonna, especially defense. I think, like Tim said, is gonna light up May for his first start. On the other side, Tim, New England, who you got?
Stevenson. I think that's about it. I don't know if I don't trust Drake May yet. Again, it's his first game. I don't know if I'm really. You don't know who his main guy is going to be, so I don't know if I go Juju Smith-Schuster. I don't know if you do. Yes, at this point it's Stevenson and the kicker.
All right, Kev, who you got on the Patriots side to start?
Well, we'll definitely, obviously, like I said, you're gonna have to go Stevenson, I think. And I guess, like you said, depending on how, you don't want to risk it, but depending on if you have like a super flex league or if you are in dire need of a quarterback because of injuries or anything, you could take a risk on the QB Drake May, but there's not much to pick from, especially when they have a bunch on the injured report. I just looked at it.
Yep.
There's a bunch. So, I mean, the Patriots, they've had, decent defenses over the, past years. I just don't think I would trust them against Texans. Again, CJ Stroud, he has been struggling this year. He's not as good as he was last year. I don't think he's been, he's shown his, his weaknesses this year, especially up against Chicago and the Vikings these past couple weeks. I think if you really want to take a risk, you could take it. You could take the Patriots defense, but again, they are dealing with a bunch of injuries.
Yeah, I think the two for sure plays in this game are going to be Stevenson and their kicker. If you look at the stats, they both are the 1-2 in points scored for their teams. Stevenson's the only one to get a rushing touchdown, so that's probably a safe bet there. I'm with Tim. I mean, unless you got to play somebody and want to take a shot, if you're sitting at the bottom of your league, I guess. But I don't think I take a shot at May right now. See what he could do. Maybe next week he could be a fill-in. So with that being said, we'll move to the 4-1 Commanders versus the 3-2 Ravens. A lot of experts are saying this is going to be the game of the week. So, Kev, the Commanders, who do you got?
I really like how he's been playing all year. I think me personally, my favorite pick to win Rookie of the Year is going to be Jaden Daniels. I really like the way he's been playing. He definitely he's definitely showing why he should have been the number one pick and why Chicago should have taken him, which is what I wanted us to do, but we didn't. But I think you could obviously flex position. You could take Terry McLaurin. Also, another flex, I have him as my flex too. He's been really good for me all year, is Austin Eckler. And then obviously Brian Robinson, because the Ravens defense has been, again, mediocre this year.
Okay. Tim?
Yeah, I can't agree more about Jaden Daniels. To me, I think Jaden Daniels has been head and shoulders above everybody else in the wide receiver in the rookie conversation. I've been singing this guy's praises since week one. Yeah, he's definitely a start. It's going to be interesting against this Baltimore defense. I think it's going to be a really true test still. Eckler being back, I think they're going to be splitting time in the backfield between Eckler and Brian Robinson. If you've got both, I think you start one at RB1 or flat and the other at the flex. McLaurin easily, you kind of have to start. That defense is a mid defense, but the offense has definitely been making up for the mistakes. You're looking at the number one highest scoring points team against the number two. Zach Ertz. I think Zach Ertz is a good start. outside of that, the defense might be a little iffy because you're going up against Derrick Henry and you're going up against Lamar Jackson. Take the kicking team. But other than that, yeah, definitely go with Jaden Daniels, at least Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I think Daniels by far is showing that he's rookie of the year right now. To me, Daniels and McLaurin, if you got them both, you're starting them almost weekly, I would think. It seems like they got good chemistry going. Two of Daniels' 4 touchdowns have gone to him. In the backfield, if they're playing both, it's kind of hard to start both. But if you got a flex, you pop them in there with Robinson and Eckler. Ertz definitely a start, I think, especially with bye weeks, in effect. There ain't too many good tight ends. So, and I don't start the defense. I don't even second guess it because you got Jackson and that powered offense with Henry. I think that's definitely not a good play. So, Tim, on the Baltimore side, who you have?
I'm taking Lamar. Lamar's got 9 touchdowns. I know 2 last week went into Isaiah Likely, the tight end. I think you take the tight end. Another one went to Zay Flowers. Still think you take Zay Flowers. Without a question, Derrick Henry. Again, now we're talking this defense. I have this really weird feeling it's going to be a high-scoring game. I don't think I take the defense, and hopefully Tucker comes back and starts performing like he used to. But at this point, I'm not sure anymore with Tucker.
All right, Kevin, Ravens side, who are you taking?
I'm going to take Lamar, obviously, and then I'm going to take Derrick Henry. Now I do like the Isaiah Likely pick, but I think, me personally, I think he's a hit or miss. And I haven't, really got my feelings on how I feel about him. But I don't see Mark Andrews on any injured reserve list or anything, but I would possibly take a chance on him. He's bound for a breakout game. It's just bound to happen. And I think if it's going to happen, it could be against Commanders. But I'd take a risk on either one of those receivers out of Baltimore as well. Again, it's going to be a 50-50 shot. You pick, you pick the right one or you pick the wrong one. But I think one of them is also going to have a decent game unless they're handing Derrick Henry the ball for 40 touches again.
Yeah, I think the 2 safe plays are definitely Lamar Jackson and Henry. Henry, like Kevin said when he jumped on, probably still one of the top backs in the league. You can do for both sides. Likely, if you can pick him up or trade for him, I think you make that move because I think he's becoming one of Lamar's favorite receivers, weapons to hit. Flowers and Bateman both, like Kevin said, if you got them, play them. If you happen to have both of them, which one do you sit? You're probably going to make the wrong choice, like Kevin said, because I know I've done it. So, but yeah, the defense, I don't think you play it. I think you play the kicker, like Tim said. If Tucker can, get back to being Tucker, he's going to be able to play every week. But I'm with Tim. I got just a little inkling that this game's going to be just a battle of who has the ball last to win the game. The next game, we got the Browns at 1-4 versus the Eagles at 2-2. Tim, shaking your head already. So, who do you play, or will it be better to say who do you sit for the Browns?
I don't start Deshaun. It just seems like I don't know, especially and it just questions you, if his heart's it anymore. But that's a conversation for another day. Golly, is Chubb supposed to be back for this week? Because I keep hearing, he's not on the. I don't think he's on the list.
I haven't seen anything.
Oh, he's not on the list. No, Chubb is. He's still on the He's still on the pup list. So, yeah, you're still maybe Jerome Ford at this point.
Okay.
Because I don't know. And Njoku has been nagged with an injury. Outside of that, maybe Amari Cooper, but seems like a Cooper's disappeared a little bit too.
All right, Kevin, on Brown side, who are you starting?
I think because I've watched a couple of those Eagles games, their defense had a lot of holes.
Mm-hmm.
And it is strictly due to the deep ball and the running game. So I would take a risk on Amari Cooper, but like you said, he has been fading away. It seems like, but that's just because Deshaun Watson's not playing good football. But I would take Jerome Ford, and then I would start David Njoku.
Okay. Yeah, I look at it, and I'm staying far away from the quarterback position right now. So Tim has to step away, but right now I would stay away from Watson. Even if they put Winston in, I probably wouldn't start him. Cooper, I think, is a good play. People are going to say, "Well, you just said the quarterback's not a good play." Well, Cooper and Juju are will get theirs. The running game, yeah, it's hit or miss. I mean, it could be a flex position play with Ford. But yeah, I don't think I set the defense on that at all. So let's get into another game here. As Tim will be back shortly. The Arizona Cardinals 2-3 versus. Oh no, I'm sorry. We still have the Eagles. I'm sorry, Kevin. Your thoughts on the Eagles?
Again, Eagles they've been hit or miss this year. They've either played good football or they haven't played good football. Obviously, I'm looking at the report right now. It looks like Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown are still on it, but I did see that they are supposed to play. So if you are looking for, receivers, you can obviously I'd start either one of them because I'm pretty sure they're going to play. You could take Jalen Hurts, Dallas Goedert, and then obviously you can't go wrong taking Saquon.
Yeah.
And then you could risk it and take the defense. You could.
Yeah. Not a bad play there. Tim, Eagles, who you got?
Well, I'm hoping that Devonta Smith plays. I just took him off my IR. So I'm not sure if I'm going to play him. I would take Saquon. I think you guys brought up a great point that this team is it tends to play down to its opponents and it catches them in trouble. I start Jalen Hurts, definitely sweet. I think Barkley's a definite. AJ Brown if he's healthy. Again, Devonta Smith, hopefully he's healthy. Dallas Goedert, I think is a perfect start against this team. That defense again, another thing that's hit or miss. I don't know if I start that defense yet, but it's still Cleveland. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think honestly the two for sure starts in this game is Hurts and Barkley. They're the ones that are getting most of the scoring touchdowns. Goddard seems like he'll get you down there, but then he doesn't get the ball because you're going to give it to Barkley or you're going to sneak it in with Hurts with the Eagle push or whatever they call it.
Tush push.
The tush push. Smith and Brown both, again, being bye weeks might be a good flex play there. The defense, you know what? If I'm the defense coordinator, I'm throwing it at them, the Browns, because they just seem like a mess right now. So be a decent play for the Eagles defense there. So next game we got the Arizona Cardinals 2-3 versus the Packers 3-2. Tim, the Cardinals, who do you have?
Got it. this is a team that just beat the 49ers. I'm looking at this and I'm questioning. At this point, I'm really, really thinking at this point Marvin Harrison Jr. seems like he's becoming a guy who should be an every week start.
Mhm.
Trey McBride should be a start because to me, I think Green Bay's defense in the middle is pretty suspect to a tight end sitting in the middle of the field. If Kyler was smart, he'd be looking for him over the middle. I want to say Kyler because Kyler's actually been throwing the ball. He's been pretty smart because he's only got 2 interceptions, which I think last year at this time I think he had 5 or 6. I don't think I start the defense. I think Kyler. If you have Marvin Harrison, I think you start, or if you got Kyler and who did I just say?
Marvin Harrison.
No. The McBride, Trey McBride. I think that's a good play. Connor, if you're in a real fix to try to patch a spot, but there should be somebody else out there better than Connor at this point. And I'd go with the kicking team.
Okay, Kevin, who you got for the Cardinals?
For the Cardinals, I'm definitely going to start Kyler Murray and James Conner because I have both of them. But I agree with the Trey McBride. I really do. I think he has a chance of being the leading receiver for that game, actually, for yards. I really do. I just think if Jair Alexander could, stay healthy and not be so cocky, I think he has a chance at locking up Marvin Harrison. But again, he's been pretty iffy the last couple of years. If he can get back to his old self, then I think Marvin Harrison's gonna have a tough time against Jair. I think other than that, I think that is all I can think about. But I'd start the main 4. I would.
Yep. Yeah, I'm with you, Kev. I think you start Kyler Murray, especially if you got one of the receivers. Especially, I don't know. I think Marvin Harrison is going to show that he's probably number 2 right now in the Rookie of the Year voting. So if he keeps, improving, I think he's definitely going to be a force to be reckoned with. Connor, if they run him up the middle, Tim kind of pointed out that they have a tough time covering that middle. So Connor gets loose through the middle, they probably get some pretty decent yards on that. Defense I probably kind of stay away from. And then we could always say the kicking game. So on to the Bears side, Kevin. What's your thoughts on the Packers side? I'm sorry, Packers.
I definitely am going to start Josh Jacobs. I know people might disagree with that just because of, everything. He's had a up and down year. He's been a hit or miss. I think the Packers, they still have all those suspensions, like all those like injured and suspended players for receivers.
I think they're winding down there. I think.
Yeah, there's still Christian Watson is still hurt.
Watson, is he injured? Because I know he got injured last game.
Yeah, Watson has got an ankle injury, and then you've got there was a suspend. No, and Dobbs was only suspended for 1 game.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you can start any of the receivers that are not out, I think, because they're going to get more reps since you got the injury and then you got the suspension. But you could take a risk on Jordan Love. Honestly, I don't think he should be pushing coming back from that injury. But me personally, I'm not him. I can't tell him what to do. But I think a safe bet would be Josh Jacobs, and I guess you could take Jordan Love as well.
All right, Tim. Packers.
Yeah, I'm definitely taking Josh Jacobs against that rushing defense because that rushing defense is 28th in the league. it should mean that anybody who's got Josh Jacobs should be getting easy yards at this point, easy points. Definitely starting Jaden Reed. I like that Kraft kid, that tight end they got. He's second on the team in reception yards. I think he's going to be good. Yeah, I would go with any receivers if you got them, if they're healthy. For some reason, I keep getting Christian Watson, and he doesn't never seem to be healthy. Jordan Love, again, if you're in a pinch, if you got to take it, I don't think he should have pushed it so fast either to come back. But that's, you can't tell kids these days what to do. Being a parent, they tend to do whatever the heck they feel like, and we can look at the Tua situation. I know it's a different situation, but it's still Jordan Love. If it's a flyer, I know we got Packer people on this channel that would disagree with me, that says that you should start Jordan Love, and those people would be wrong. It's going to be this. The defense again. Jair Alexander is dealing with a groin. It's a iffy, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, I want to double check, but I think the kicker has been hurt too. I could be wrong. I'm wrong.
I have him on the list.
He's not on the list, so take the kicker. At this point, you can take the kicker unless he just looks like Vinatieri from 5 years ago.
Yeah. Jacobs and Reed, I think, are both solid plays. I think you're starting them. Like Tim said, Jacobs with that rush defense he's facing is probably going to go off. Love, I got him in the league because I have to start him because my guy's on a bye. So I hope he does hit his receivers. Kraft, like Tim said, I kind of like him too, especially in that goal line area. It seems like that's where he's getting his touchdowns from. Dobbs, I kind of would wait. Watson, I kind of wait. But, if you need to throw him in a flex position, probably Dobbs I would play over Watson because it just seems like he can't stay healthy. But, yeah, that's what I got there for the Packers. Next game is the Buccaneers at 3-2 versus the 2-3 Saints. Kevin, the Buccaneers, who are you playing?
I'd start both receivers. I'd start Godwin and Evans. I really like the way that Cade Otton has been playing too this year. I think he's been, he doesn't get enough talk. He's been pretty decent for the Bucs this year. I would pass on Rachaad White. I would not start Rachaad White just because he's had a rough year. I think his highest rushing game was 87 yards, and I think it came either last week or the week before. But he's had a hard time rushing. But I think I start Baker Mayfield as well. But I would avoid starting Rachaad White.
All right, Tim.
Yeah, so Rachaad White's biggest game was 72 yards.
Yeah.
And that was on October 4th. I don't start him either. I start Baker. I like the two wide receivers. I think the two wide receivers is a good play. Otton, like Kev said, is a really good play. Outside of that, then maybe let's start the defense because right now they don't know who their quarterback is. Right now, if you look at one app, they've got Jake Haener. Next app, they've got Spencer Rattler. Another app has got Jimmy Garoppolo. They don't know what they're doing. So start the defense. This is another one. If they start Spencer Rattler, this is the Drake May thing. Send the kitchen sink after him. And I have an absolute loathing problem for Spencer Rattler. So I kind of hope that he goes in and gets the living tar beat out of him. But that's me. I don't start the running back. The two wide receivers I start. Otton I start. The defense I start. And I start Baker Mayfield.
I totally forgot about the injury to Carr, but yeah, I start the defense as well. I totally forgot about that.
Nope, I think the defense is a big start. Like Tim said, they don't know who's that quarterback, so who's ever at quarterback, you're throwing the kitchen sink at them. On the offensive side, Mayfield and the receiving core, along with Otten, I think are big starts this week. The running game, until they figure out what they're doing, I don't think you start them at all. Baker's, probably the top 5 right now for MVP voting to pick. I mean, 11 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. So, yeah, Baker, Godwin, Urban, Otten, and the defense, I think, are for sure starts this week. Until the Saints side of things, Tim, I think you kind of laid onto it, but who are you playing?
I think the obvious is we don't start the quarterback. I think the only good one to start is probably Kamara. If necessary, I think Olave is also a really, really good start. Hills is questionable, but I'm not sure what the extent of his injury is. Shaheed maybe, but that's just a brief maybe. I don't start the defense because it seems like Baker has become Baker. Outside of that, yeah, it's just Kamara and Olave, and yeah.
Okay, Kevin.
I think Alvin Kamara, like you said, safe bet to go Alvin Kamara. I think with the injury of Derek Carr and not knowing who's going to play quarterback, it's going to be based off who's going to play. Is when Chris Olave or Shaheed's, that's when how important you think they're going to be based off who's going to be playing quarterback. But, I've had Rashid Shaheed on my team all year, and I haven't started him because he's one of those hit or miss people, and I'd be undefeated in my league if I've started him. Let's just say that, because he's had several weeks where he's put up more points than my starters have. But again, I was not expecting Derek Carr to play at the level he's playing right now. But I think it'd be okay if you started both Olave and if you needed a flex, you could put Shaheed at the flex. Other than that, I don't see much. Maybe if Taysom Hill's healthy, you could take a risk on him. Because he can play any position on the field practically, receiver, running back, tight end, quarterback. So
yeah, I think for the Saints, I think this is a game where they need Taysom Hill to play because, like Kev said, he can play all over the place. Plus, he's on my team. So Kamara, I think is the for sure start. Everybody else, Shaheed, Olave, I think you're gonna play in a flex position if you have to, because again, like we stated, don't know who the quarterback is. Defense, I stay away from. So Kamara is definitely the for sure start, and Hill would be my next pick to start. Going into the next game, we got the Colts at 2-3 versus the Titans 1-3. Tim, your Colts are on the road. Who do you got?
Well, right now it's all about you're going up against the number one defense in the league. Because the Titans are the number one team in the league. It's crazy to think that. Right now we've got Jonathan Taylor, who is hopeful to be in practice, and here we are talking about Wednesday for a Sunday game. I really don't like this team. Flacco, I think Flacco is a pinch player. Again, I can't tell you to start Jonathan Taylor until until everybody really knows. Pittman's so hit and miss too. Josh Downs is so. If there's anybody that I would probably start, and if you're in a PPR league, start Josh Downs. If you're looking for the big hitter guys, you're looking at Pierce. We tend to stay away from our tight ends. I really just don't. And then again, it's the Titans. That's the problem. And the Titans are coming off a bye week. Mm-hmm. I'd start Flacco because Flacco put up 300 plus last week. If you're going to start Flacco, you probably should start at this point. You should probably find Downs and Pittman's a chunk player. That's not Pittman, but Pierce is a chunk player, as you saw last week. Two passes over 60 plus yards. I don't start that defense. Start the defense. Forget it. It's Will Levis. You do what you do with Will Levis. You start the defense because Will Levis is going to make a mistake. The rush defense, even though the numbers don't show it, has gotten a lot better. The problem is that's the pass defense that you got to worry about. Start Flacco if you have him. If you're doubled up with somebody like Downs and Pierce. If Taylor's a game time decision, I would wait until you're for sure because it's a high ankle sprain, which means he might be on a pitch count. I don't start the defense. I start the kicking team.
All right, Kevin. Colts, who you got?
Yeah, like you said, I can't tell you to start Jonathan Taylor because he's still questionable. Doesn't know if he's going to play or not. If he is healthy and he does end up playing, he could be limited for a week. But I think it'd still be an okay bet to start him. I think you could be okay with starting the receivers for the Colts. I think you couldn't go wrong. I do know the Titans have the best defense in the league right now, which again, like you said, is hard to let that come out of your mouth because it's the Titans, and trying to think. I think it could. I think it's gonna be a low scoring game if Taylor does not play. So I think, like he said, the kicking would be good. But the Titans' offense is atrocious besides the run game. So I would start the Colts defense.
Okay. For me, I think you start Pierce if Flacco plays. I think you kind of think about it. If Richardson plays, Taylor again, another game time decision guy. I'm honestly probably going to stay away from starting too many players on the Colts. Pierce would probably be my only play. Again, that also depends on who starts because Flacco's numbers are a little bit better than Richardson's. But we know Richardson is the franchise quarterback if he stays healthy. So, and again, if Taylor between now and then, if he's healthy and they say he's starting, again, probably another guy you would think about starting. But that Titans defense, as we said, is number one. So, with that being said, Kevin, on the Titan side of things, who you have?
Well, I'm gonna take Tony Pollard. I would start Tony Pollard. I forgot who, because I know they got that 1-2 punch at running back. I can't remember his name at the top of my head.
Spears?
Who's that?
Spears? Running back Spears.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Tajay Spears. Yeah. He hasn't been too bad either. If you need a flex, you could throw him there again. But, if Tony Pollard's your starter, I probably wouldn't have Spears in the game. I wouldn't start him. Which I don't know why you would have both running backs to begin with, because once they are in a bye, they're both going to be gone. But I've seen crazy people draft weirder. So, I'm trying to think. Receivers, I mean, it's just so hard because they've been hit or miss all year because of the quarterback play. But like I said, I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. So I think you could go defensive kicker too. So those are what I would go. I'd go. That'd probably be the only four I would start would be Pollard, Spears, defensive kicker.
All right, Tim.
I hate to agree with that, but I think that definitely the defense and the kicker, because like you said, you're the number one defense. The kicker, it's going to be like anybody says, it's going to be a low scoring game. You've got Will Levis at this point. I didn't realize that Levis is questionable with a shoulder injury. I haven't heard any other news on that. He wouldn't have been ready to play if they had a game last week. So the week of rest really helped. I think Pollard is a good start. Again, with that defense, that rush defense being 31st in the league. That Joe Mixon first week didn't help us, and then following it up with Josh Jacobs really didn't help. Outside of that, I'm not starting a wide. I'm not. Again, this is the if they go to the quarterback, it's gonna. If it's not Will Levis, it's Mason Rudolph.
Oh boy.
And that's the point. When your backup quarterback gets an oh boy, you don't know if you want to go Calvin Ridley. You don't know if you want to go to Deshaun Hopkins. You don't. I think I agree with Kevin. I think the 4 you start are the 4 we've been bringing up.
Yeah, this one would be a matchup. Especially if I have Levis and especially if I have the receivers. I'm kind of watching, reading the reports, seeing who's going to play, because if it is Rudolph, I'm not starting my receivers. If it's Levis, then I'm probably going to start Ridley or Hopkins. But Pollard is definitely a big start. Tim, you've almost nailed the Colts, what the Colts are going to give up in rushing every week. So Pollard's probably going to have a heck of a game. Spears probably going to spell him off. I wouldn't be surprised if they both reach close to 100.
I think Indy gives up. I think Indy gives up 178, 179 in rushing this week.
Yep. So that you definitely start the defense. You start the kicker. So I think we're kind of all agreeing on that game. Next game after that, we got the Chargers sitting at 2-2. Broncos at 3-2. Tim, Chargers side of the football, who do you have?
I think this is where I honestly this is where we're talking about the Denver Broncos being the 3rd best defense in the league.
Mm-hmm.
It's scary, and you got Herbert coming off a week's rest, off of his injury too. I think you start Herbert. I think for some reason I have this feeling Denver might be a fluke. I think it's scary that I keep thinking stuff like that, but I start Herbert. I start Johnston. I've been saying this for weeks. Start McConkey, but he's been slapping me in the face. I think you start J.K. Dobbins. And maybe the defense.
All right, Kevin.
Yeah, I would start J.K. Dobbins. He's been kind of a surprise to me this year. I'm so iffy on the quarterback because he's been injured and he hasn't been playing too well. Because I really do. I think the injury is really affecting him. I think it's really hurting his play. But I would definitely go J.K. Dobbins. I do like that lad McConkey. I do. So in like he was saying, he's been one of those people you're like, oh, he's going to be good, and then he just doesn't perform. But I think that's because of, again, I just think quarterback play, with his injury and everything, that lingering injury, eventually it adds up and it gets to your play and it can affect it. But I would agree on, I'd go kicker and defense as well. I'd go kicker defense, and then I'd take another risk on Conkley, and I'd go J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah, I think Herbert got the week off. This might be a chance where it's like, okay, you had the week off. Let's see what he can do. So you play Herbert, you play the receivers, you play Dobbins. I think those are all going to be solid plays. The defense, again, rookie quarterback there. I'd probably keep pushing him to see what he can do. The kicker, of course, will be played. So, Kevin, Broncos side of things, who do you have there?
Oh, man. Bo Nix, he's been playing pretty well. I would not start him though. But Bo Nix, I do like how he's been playing as well. But if I have to go, I'd have to go. You could take a risk on Javonte Williams at a flex, or you could take a risk on Cortland Sutton at the flex as well.
Okay. Tim?
Yeah, I Bo Nix is too big of a risk. Javonte Williams would be a really. It's not as big of a risk like Bo Nix is, but it's big enough. Again, if you're coming down to a pinch and you got to start Javonte Williams, you've got a bigger problem. Cortland Sutton might be the only okay play here. The defense, maybe, because the defense is the only thing keeping this team in the games. And you're basically got a walking wounded Justin Herbert. Not a bad idea to start the defense for Denver.
Yeah, I think the defense is a solid start. I think I'm more inclined to start Knicks now being bye weeks than I would any other time. I mean, Knicks does have 3 passing touchdowns, 3 rushing touchdowns, so he's going to get there. Again, though, it would be one of those, if I have to start, I'm starting Knicks. Sutton, I'd probably my other start. And Kev just stepped away. All right. Oh, he's back. So let's get Kevin back up here. All right, buddy. We got that taken care of. Next game, we got the 3-2 Steelers versus the Raiders at 2-3. Kevin, I'll let you start because I know your boy is the starting quarterback for the Steelers.
Oh yeah, I love Justin Fields. I'm actually wearing a Chicago Bears Justin Fields jersey at this very moment as we speak. So Steelers, they're playing who again?
They're playing the Raiders.
Raiders. Okay. Oh boy. I say you go Steelers defense. I think you could go them, especially with Devontae Adams out. He's not going to play again, is what it seems like. Oh boy. Najee Harris at a flex, I think you could be okay with doing. I mean, heck, I'm gonna tell you, people aren't gonna like it. Start Justin Fields. That man's been, I've liked him. He's not gonna throw for 400 yards. Okay, he's not gonna do that, but he's gonna rush for, 150, and he's going to pass for probably 200, and he's going to have at least a rushing touchdown and receive passing touchdown. And personally, if you're looking for points, that's depending on what league you're in. 6 points is a rushing touchdown, and then it's 4 points for passing touchdown. That's 10 points off those 2 touchdowns. Plus, you add on his 150 rushing yards and his 200 passing yards. You're going to get, 20 points out of him, if not more. And that's been better than my quarterback half the year. And all I know is my Bears are going to get finessed of that draft pick. So that's going to hurt. But I would go Najee Harris. I go Fields defense, and then I'd also go Pat Freiermuth as well.
Okay. Tim?
I really like that Freiermuth thing. I think that's a good move on that. I'm looking at the numbers against that Fields has against the weak defense. I'm taking Fields. I literally looking at Fields against the weak defense. He did 312 against Indy, 1 touchdown, 1 passing touchdown, and 2 rushing touchdowns, and 55 yards. I'm starting him against a weak defense, like Las Vegas. Pickens needs to find the end zone. I just don't know why he hasn't found one yet. This might be the breakout game for Pickens to come out and score. Freiermuth definitely. Najee Harris, I think in a flex, you're definitely starting defense against this Raiders team, because this Raiders team is absolutely atrocious. And I think you start Barnwell. I think you start the kicker.
Yep, I think you're right. Kevin, I think you're right. I think we start the defense, we start the kicker, we start Freiermuth at tight end. Fields, I would say for a quarterback, if we did our locks like we do on Morning Tailgate, this would be my lock to start. Fields, he'll He's got the 5 passing touchdowns. He's got 3 rushing touchdowns. So anywhere near the end zone, it's almost going to be a Fields touchdown passing or running. Yeah, I think those are Harris. I think he's starting a flex, like Tim said. Pickens also in a flex position. Both of those guys need to find the end zone. This could be the time. This could be the week that they do it. Tim, Raiders side of things. We know they're in a mess right now.
I don't.
How big of a mess are they?
I think we brought this up before the other show about Minshew and Aiden O'Connell. Mm-hmm. They haven't even named the starter for this week, which means that spot's in question. I would have thought Zamir White, but Zamir White's questionable. No Devontae Adams. I think the only guy that might be anywhere close to anything to look forward to looking at is probably Tucker. Outside of that, Brock Bowers all of a sudden woke up last week. Bowers, if you need a flex. Tucker, again, if you really need a flex. But outside of that, I'm probably starting nobody.
All right, Kevin.
Well, I think there's another person that you could keep in mind due to the Zamir White injury being questionable. I picked him up last week because he's been okay all year, is Alexander Madison. Mm-hmm. I have him as my flex right now due to the injury of Jonathan Taylor. So I had to pick up a running back, and it just happened to be perfect timing because Zamir White was, out. I'm looking at it right now. It looks like Devontae Adams he's not expected to play, but it looks like they are trying to finalize a trade within the next 48 hours. But I think you could take a risk on Jacoby Myers. I don't know. I don't see him on the injury report. But again, the whole quarterback situation is a problem. They don't know who they're starting. But I think Brock Bowers would be an okay bet as well. But I think they could be due to kick some field goals, so I'd go with the kicker.
Yeah, I think the kicker is going to be a decent start. I think Madison is definitely a nice start. I like that pickup, definitely for a flex position. Outside of that, I'm kind of staying away from everybody because, that offense, we don't know what's going on. Again, like Tim said, don't know who the quarterback is going to be to start. So, yeah, I think I kind of stay away from everybody on that one. Going into the next game, possibly a good playoff matchup here. Probably the game of the second half of Sunday night. The Lions at 3-1, the Cowboys at 3-2. Kevin, your thoughts on the Lions?
Well, I think you have a safe bet by taking either running back. You can go David Montgomery or Jahmyr Gibbs. Like I said, big Bears fan. I'm upset that we just let Montgomery go without even trying. I think it was a big mistake. And I told people to, I usually tell people to avoid that, going for a team that has like a 50-50 committee, just because your running back's going to hit or miss. It's going to be one or the other. But with this Lions team, they're both hitting. They're both doing very well. Like, I think 1 week Montgomery had like 20 points and then Jahmyr Gibbs had 26 points. And it's just either one of those running backs you're going to be okay with having. I think since Jameson Williams is staying out of trouble and he's not getting injured, I think he's a safe bet as well, along with Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think I would say Sam Laporta, but I haven't heard much of him this year, so that makes me think he's not having that strong of a year. But also you could go Jared Goff. And then, I don't see starting the Lions as a bad option either. I think it's going to be a hit or miss, but it's a risk I'm willing to take, is taking that Lions defense against Dak Prescott, who does turn the ball over.
All right, Tim?
Yeah, I'm going to take Goff, even though There's a reason why I don't start Goff in our league because I've got Lamar Jackson, so it's kind of difficult to really do that. We're talking about a banged up Dallas pass rush. I would be safer with the whole starting Goff. I agree starting either or in the running back department. I think that's because you're talking about a weak, really weak defense, a pass defense, or rush defense in Dallas. I'm on St. Brown isn't a bad, or St. Brown isn't a bad pick. Is definitely definitely start. Jameis Williams is a good run. Laporta has just seemed like he's disappeared. I have him, and I think I've started him once, and it seems like there's a blueprint on how to defend Laporta, and it just seems like he's disappeared. I don't know what was the difference between last year and this year. Maybe it was the fact is he was new and he caught everybody off guard, and there's a year worth of video on him. Detroit's not a bad pick on the defense either, and the kicker is pretty good to go with too.
Yeah, I think Goff's a solid start. I hate to say it, but yeah, I think we're all right on the running backs. I think can't go wrong with either one. It all depends on how they play. I think it's been a while since we've seen a tandem like this where either one can erupt for a 50-yard plus game with a touchdown or two. Receiving, I think St. Brown's a solid start. Laporta, yeah, he's been missing in action, so probably a flex if needed, and hopefully that Goff finds him this week. And the defense, of course, I'm starting the defense because we've stated we don't know what kind of offense that Dallas team is going to have. So, Tim, Dallas Cowboys, who do we got?
I'm going to start Prescott. I think that's a good start. Dowdle, he had his best game of the season last week against Pittsburgh, and you're going again, and that's a better defense right now than Detroit. Maybe I think he's a flex play when it comes to. At this point, do you worry about the rift there's between Prescott and CeeDee Lamb, if that's going to make a difference, if that's going to show up on the field? I think you start Ferguson at tight end.
Mm-hmm.
I think Ferguson's a good pick on this spot. The defense is kind of suspect at this point. I don't think if you have to, because you're going to replace it. I think if you have to replace a bye week team, I think you do. I start the kicker.
All right, Kevin.
Yeah, I definitely start Dak Prescott. I would start CeeDee Lamb as well. I probably wouldn't start the defense just because of how shorthanded they are. The kicker, I think that's a good bet as well. And then obviously Jake Ferguson, who's been decent all year. So that's who I would go with for the Cowboys.
Yeah, Cowboys, I'm with you guys. I think Dak's definitely a good start to fill in for a bye week. The running game, I probably just stay away from. Now, he's got the yards, but no touchdowns. So I kind of stay away from that until we see what they can get. CeeDee Lamb, Tolbert, Ferguson, all solid starts for me. Yeah, the defense, as much as I liked them going into the season, they have not done nothing like they should have, I think. So I think I kind of stay away from the defense unless I have to play them, and then kind of hope that they show up this week. So next game we got Atlanta Falcons 3-2 versus the struggling Panthers, and I believe we'll get into the quarterback situation here shortly at 1-4. Kevin, Atlanta Falcons. Who are we playing?
Just start everybody. I'd say you're okay starting Mooney. You're okay starting Bijan, Kyle Pitts, Kirk Cousins. I mean, heck, I'd even throw Tyler Algier in there as well. And then Drake London. I'd start. I think you're okay starting anybody on that offense. They made Caleb Williams look like he was Patrick Mahomes out there. It was phenomenal to watch, and like DJ Moore having those 2 touchdowns last week, DeAndre Swift, having one of his best games of the year. I think you can't go wrong anywhere on that offense if you needed to start him. Again, the only one you could be questionable with is Kirk Cousins, just because, again, that's like a fill-in quarterback. You should have a way better quarterback than Kirk Cousins starting for your team. But you can't go wrong, especially because of the matchup. I'd start kicker and defense as well.
Tim?
It's hard to argue with that, considering I left Mooney on the bench last week and really paid the price for that one. Don't make that mistake twice. If you can find an Atlanta Falcon, and this is the last time I said this, the Panthers won. But exactly, if you can find a Falcon and they're cheap, do it at this point, because it's just worth the price of admission, because you're going to get points. Bijan Robinson, I think is a great start. Drake London, Mooney. Really wish I had. That one's going to be the kicker of the year for me. Is not starting Jackson or Mooney last week. Definitely Pitts. Start the defense. Start the kicker. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's I can't argue. I mean, when you look at the roster and it's like, everybody's a good start, and then you get to Cousins, it's just like, he's the last one to start. It's like, oh, could I start him? Well, I have London, I have Mooney. I might as well throw him in there. You're starting the defense because the Panthers are the Panthers. I think everybody on the offensive side that we named, defense, kicker, I think you are starting everybody. Tim, Panther side of things?
I like Deion Johnson, if that makes you any better. I'm starting Chuba Hubbard. I think the blueprint's back out on Andy Dalton. I don't think I start Dalton. I think the only strong start here is Chuba Hubbard for me.
All right, Kevin.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. Chuba Hubbard. I would have said Andy Dalton if you didn't play like you did last week. But yeah, I think the only one you could really start would be Chuba Hubbard. I guess if you really needed to, you could start Deontay Johnson at a flex, but you're definitely going to pay the price if you do that.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement that Hubbard's probably the only start here. Kevin, I think you're right. If you have to play a receiver, you take Johnson, but you better hope that Dalton has his good game. So, I'll say that. I honestly don't even think I start the kicker, even though the kicker probably has the most points right now. So next game we got the Bengals at 1-4, Giants at 2-3. Kevin, Bengals struggling. Who do you have in?
And it's hard to say, not to start anybody from the Bengals because they're such a good team. They're just not getting the wins this year. They're just catching the bad end of the stick. But I think Joe Burrow, he's starting to perform now. So I think Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. You could even go with a running back, I'd say. So I think you're okay with anything on the offense. I'd also go the kicker, but the defense, I would not start the defense, I don't think.
All right, Tim.
Yeah, I'm starting Burrow because Burrow did what he did last week against Baltimore. That was the defense that pretty much gave that game away. Right now, Zach Moss is questionable. I don't know if I'd start Zach Moss. I'm starting Jamar Chase. I think T. Higgins is a good start. Mike Gesicki, maybe. But you got to remember, Burrow's thrown 12. He leads the league right now in touchdowns. He's thrown 12 touchdowns, and 5 of them have been to Jamar Chase. Outside of that, I don't think I'm not starting the defense. Maybe the kicker.
Yeah, I think definitely if you're playing against either Burrow or Chase and you had the other one, you're starting them. Definitely start them if you have both of them. Like Tim said, 12 touchdowns, 5 of them gone to Chase. Higgins ain't another bad play. Outside of that, Brown, could be a flex spot. Zach Moss, I have him on a team, so I'll be watching his status to see where he's at. Defense definitely not playing kicker. If you got to play kicker, you got to play kicker. But Burrow and Chase, if you're facing them or have them both, I think this is going to be a solid game for both of them to start. Tim, Giants side of things, who do you have?
You got my question is the running game because you've got Singletary who's game time. You got Neighbors game time. Again, last time I said don't start anybody for the Giants. They end up winning the game. Thibodeau's questionable. Man, that's just a terrible situation. Yeah, I don't know if maybe I start Tyrone Tracy.
Okay.
It's not a bad pick because with Singletary, I think he's gone for 120, but the last game that he played, he went as soon as it shows up. Well, I'll tell you, he went 129 last week against Seattle. So it's not Tracy might if Tyrone Tracy's your starter. If you got Tyrone Tracy or if he's starting, he might be a good pickup for flex.
All right, Kevin.
Yeah, like he's saying, the injuries with Devin Singletary and Malik Neighbors. Obviously, if they end up playing, I'd probably start Malik Neighbors over Singletary just because Singletary will probably just be on a rep count. But if Neighbors doesn't play, I think you could take a risk on taking Wan'Dale Robinson. He seems to have been doing okay ever since the injury of Malik Neighbors. I probably wouldn't start a defense unless you're taking by individual players. I'm in a league where I have to do that, and I do have Brian Burns on my thing. But I think you could take a chance on the kicker as well. I think if the Giants get in territory and they can't score, I think he's bound to have quite a bit of points. So I think if you were to do anything, I would go Wan'Dale Robinson, kicker, and then if you do have a defensive thing where you can take players.
Okay. Yeah, I think that Williams pick or the receiver, I think is a nice little sneaky one there. Robinson, I'm sorry. I think it's a nice sneaky pick, especially if Neighbors doesn't play. Outside of that, I'm kind of staying away from the Giants just because they're inaccuracy, but Robinson would be my play if I needed to. Again, a game, if I have players on a team, I'm watching their injury report to see, do you trust Danny Dimes? Don't you? It's one of those things where you just, if you're stuck where like half your rosters, on bye weeks, yeah, I mean, I guess you got to throw the book at it and hopefully that this is the week that they show up. But outside of that, yeah, I'm not really starting anybody in this game. The Monday night game, we got the Bills at 3-2 versus the Jets, who have a new head coach this week at 2-3. Tim, Buffalo, who we got?
I'm starting Josh Allen, but everybody after what Houston did last week, I think the blueprint is out on the Bills with what the defense did. James Cook is game time decision at this point. He's questionable. If he's healthy, he's a play. Dalton Kincaid, I still think is a solid play at this point. He doesn't have the yards, but that's the way it could be. Shakir, I think Shakir is he's questionable. Keon Coleman might be an okay start if you need to. I don't know if I start the defense. I really don't know. I don't think it's a good play.
All right, Kev.
Um, yeah, I'd start Josh Allen. For sure, start him. You could throw Kean Coleman at the flex, just because you got injuries and everything to the other players. I think you would be okay if you took the defense, just because they're gonna have a new head coach and everything. The Vikings embarrassed Aaron Rodgers most of that game until they started coming back. I think you could start the Bills and you could be okay with it. And then you could take the kicker.
All right. Yeah, I think it's a good thing that this game's on the back end of Monday night because if you're one of the guys like me that likes to save my Monday night guys and play them no matter what, Josh Allen's definitely a big play in this one. His receivers are definitely big plays. Kincaid is, like Tim said, will be a big play. The defense, if you got to play them, you do, but hopefully you have a better defense to play. Kevin, on the Jets side, who you have?
Oh boy. You go Brees Hall. I haven't looked at the injury report. I don't think he's injured.
Hall
Hall
is not on there.
Okay, yeah. So I would go. You can go Brees Hall. You can go Garrett Wilson. Depending on how big your league is and how deep it goes, you could take Allen Lazard. And then obviously Rodgers. I think I would stay away from the defense. Just because I think Josh Allen is he's going to be all over that defense. But yeah, I'd go with just a lot of the offensive players.
All right, Tim.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to go with Brees Hall, Garrett Wilson, Conklin, because we all know how much Rodgers loves his tight ends, and Conklin's a good play. My worry about Aaron Rodgers is he's got that ankle, and he's not as mobile as he was. I understand he's 40, but Minnesota basically beat the living tar out of him because he wasn't moving. We're talking about a Buffalo defense that likes to force people out. I say Aaron Rodgers with a bit of an asterisk on it. I'm the guy who would probably. I'm trying everything to do to jinx Josh Allen at this point. I'm gonna start the Jets defense. I think it's an okay play. Problem is Josh Allen is one of those guys who forces you can't force him to beat him with his legs because he will. And you start the kicker.
Yeah, honestly, I man, if you got Lazard, you're playing him. Hopefully, Rodgers has a good game because that seems to be his go-to guy for touchdowns and stuff. Like you guys said, the Vikings defense picked apart Rodgers. He's got that extra day or so to rest. If I'm stuck playing Rodgers on a Monday night game, I better have my main starter on a bye week or questionable. The defense, yeah, I'm kind of with Tim. After what the other teams have done, Allen's probably a good target. So I'd probably start the defense. And Hall, yeah, if I got a flex position, need a filler points there, then I'm definitely gonna put Hall in there. So, well, with that being said, guys, we run a little late today, so I think our fantasy picks for our lineups this week will go on a buy ourselves. So, Kevin, your thoughts on your first show with us on the Couch Fantasy Zone?
I definitely enjoyed it. I really did. This has been a dream of mine to just get with a group of people and just talk fantasy and everything because I'm just in love with sports. I love everything about it. Like I can't go a day without doing something in my life that has to do with sports. So I enjoyed every minute of being on here. I do have, I have some things I'll have to work on. I got to, should probably start writing down some stuff so when I get on the show, I can already talk about it. Because during the show, I was looking up stuff.
Well, we all do that. We all do that.
We all do.
So I was, I was just trying to just get in the glimpse of everything that happened. But like I said, I enjoyed every last bit of it. I talk any sport. You could, anything, WWE all the way up to, besides tennis and stuff. I don't know much about tennis.
That's cool. And I'm going to put you. I'm going to put you on the spot now because I know Tim is a fan of another Florida team that you are probably going to hate. But Tim's a fan of the Gators. You're a Hurricane fan, right?
Yeah, I am.
No. We're already done. We're already done having the conversation because I saw what Miami did to us this year. So that conversation is done, over, and quit.
Well, how about this? Let's be honest. I think the Gators were one of two teams I was actually scared of on our schedule. When I looked at it, I said, "Crap, we're going to be 0-1 to start the season." And that was because I didn't know how Cam Ward was going to play. I knew nothing about this kid. He was a transfer. I knew that he definitely turned the ball over and everything. So I was like, well, this ain't going to be good. We haven't played Florida in who knows how long, and we're about to go 0-1. And then all of a sudden that just happened. I was like, well, I stand corrected. But
yeah, no.
I think if we started Getz instead, we had started Lagway instead of Getz, I think we might have been better. But that's me.
All right. So Tim, final thoughts.
Thank you for coming on, Big Kevin. I think it's definitely, we love having. I think you're our first guest on any of our shows. As a matter of fact,
Yep.
Yeah.
The ones that me and Tim have done, but yeah, we've had guests on, but no.
Because I've only been on a couple. Saying that, stay tuned to C2C. We got a bunch of great shows. Come back and watch us on Sunday where we try to break down stuff from week 5, and then we break down the Thursday night game, and then we break down and give our picks on week 6, and then come back on Tuesday, hopefully instead of unlike today where we do the C2C rank them, and then we're right back here on Wednesday at 3:30 your time, if I'm not mistaken, because it's not 10:30 my time. 10:30 my time right here for the Couch Fantasy Zone.
Yeah, with that being said, Kev, it was great finally doing a show with you. I know we hook up on cards all the time. You're more than welcome to join us again. You talk about wrestling. We'll definitely get you on Between the Ropes. With that being said,
you're gonna introduce him to Dragon Viper.
Oh yeah. We're gonna get him going. So. But with that being said,
show again. When is that?
Between the Ropes is Sunday, late night, because a lot of our guys, coast to coast, so everybody's all over the place. Like Tim's over in Italy. Most of the guys are over on the West Coast, so they will start late. But I'll let you know when that happens. But with that being said, we'll see y'all next week on the Couch Fantasy Zone. Have a good one.
Thank you. Appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, no problem.